Serenity now. I was baited into rage. I was rage baited. Apparently, there are people out there who truly believe that the ZF 8-speed 8HP 70 is superior to dual clutch technology. Now, I personally don't have that kind of schizophrenia, but apparently, if you have an 800 horsepower 335i that happens to be 8 HP swapped, you apparently have the credibility to claim that you know better than Underground Racing, AMS, heck, Porsche, and McLaren. They are just doing everything wrong. They need to be using the 8-speed torque-converted transmission in all of their supercars. I don't know about that. Serenity now. Today's video will be about this BMW, or more specifically, the 8-speed ZF transmission that's in it. Oh, but first, I have to be an adult. Kind of. I gotta go to the house and finish putting together the desk, so that you guys can call me a desk building genius in the comments. So what I'll do is I'll finish putting together that desk, we'll start primering stuff for painting the walls, baby. And I'll probably listen to IMSA as I do it. I watched Long Beach not too long ago. I think it was Long Beach. And that was pretty cool. That Lexus RCF GT3 or whatever, is a stout racing machine. And that is not a new car.
Breaks the team winless streak of 21 races, the longest ever. Aaron Telitz, the 34-year-old from Birchwood, Wisconsin, takes the victory along with Benjamin Peterson.
A couple of years since the RCF's been back in victory lane, but couldn't be more proud to do it here at the Grand Prix of Long Beach.
The Temerario was there. I can't remember where it finished. I think, but then again, you know, it's a brand new race car. You know, expecting it to win on its first year isn't reasonable. It's no BMW M3 GTR, it's gotta be said. But it kind of makes me wonder, should the M3 GTR be kind of a blend of old and new racing tech since I have access to it? Like, should I shift the sequential forward back like this? You know, old school race car style? Or should I shift the M3 GTR with paddle shifters on the sequential? We'll still have the straight cut gear sounds and all that good stuff, but what will ultimately make me faster on track? Because the goal is to drive that car on track. But anyways, I'm gonna go build me a desk, and I'll show it off to you too, because it's kind of cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those who are wondering, yes, I did it. I completed the desk. All right, it's a U shape, very cool. I am confirmed to be a desk building genius. All right, that's another successful day of house stuff. Plug that in at some point, see what we can do with that. Grab the rest of this, figure out what to do with all these tools and stuff. All right, there's all right, the Steve Dynan 3 series. We're gonna call you Steve. Steve. I don't know if we'll actually keep that name, but for now it's Steve. Good old modern BMW interiors. Let's switch on the light. Let there be light. All right, folks, for today's vlog, we've done a couple things, but the main topic of the video is this car, or more specifically, that thing right there, the controls for the 8-speed ZF transmission, otherwise known as the 8HP 70. So I encountered a post on Instagram. We're not going to say who it is because this guy is not a member of the enthusiast community that I actually wish to put into the spotlight, so I'm not even going to include his posts or pictures or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about what he claimed and the nonsensical logic that he subscribes to while we talk about this car. But I will clarify, I will preface this video by saying this is not dissing the transmission in this car, and I think I should make that clear given what I'm about to say. I am, however, going to diss the guy that we're talking about by saying his way of thinking is flawed. So, there's a guy on Instagram who decided to post some rage bait, which worked on me, because it was just dumb.
You stupid.
He claimed that, you know, because he has like an 800 something wheel horsepower, 335i or something like that. It's a 3 Series, and he used either max ECU or HPR to do a ZF 8-speed swap in it. And he says because his car is so fast with that swap that he can claim the ZF 8-speed, the 8HP70, is a superior and faster technology than dual clutch technology. Let that marinate in your head for just a second. He says that the transmission in this car, while it is very nice, I don't agree. He says the transmission in this car is superior to that of a Porsche 911, a McLaren, or a Nissan GTR. That's a dual clutch as well. Or the dual clutches you find in things like the Lamborghini Huracan, or transaxle cars like the Ferrari 812, or I think the Revuelto is transaxle as well, or even things like the Ford Mustang GTD, or the C8 Corvette. The list goes on. He thinks that his swapped car puts all those cars to shame, and he wasn't hearing any of it. Just because your car is fast with this engine and trans combo doesn't mean that that trans technology is superior to all others. That would be like saying someone's 1100 horsepower manual Mustang is so fast and thus manuals are the fastest transmission setup on the planet. Now, I don't have schizophrenia, but I mean, I like manuals, but I'm not delusional. And the same thing applies to the ZF. So this has the 8-speed in it. This is the X-Drive. It's all-wheel drive. You know, it's very smooth. It's very cool. The main difference is that you see a lot of people parrot online when it comes to comparing DCTs to ZF 8-speeds is that the reason BMW puts the 8-speed in all of their M cars now versus the 7-speed dual clutch, I don't know how true this is, but people say it's because of comfort and drivability. Not everyone's going out to the track and, you know, trying to get the fastest lap time possible. So when you're daily driving the car, like your M5, like an F90 M5 or your modern M3s and your modern M4s, the torque converted transmission is all you need, truth be told. But, you know, would you want a torque converted transmission in your McLaren? Would you want your torque converted transmission in your Porsche 911 GT3 RS? I don't think so. Now, apparently people say that dual clutches are a little harder to daily drive, I guess, you know, whatever. But let me give you my thoughts on ZF versus, well, or even just torque converted versus dual clutch. The main thing that I notice with the factory 8-speeds and the factory torque converted mini gear transmissions versus factory tuned dual clutches is the way the shifts occur, if that makes sense. And downshifts. The big difference for me is downshifts and the rev matching. With a lot of, like, this is even with like the 10R80 in the Mustang GT. When you downshift in this car, depending on how fast you're going, the balance of the car gets upset. You know, the car lurches. You know, anyone who's ever driven a manual transmission car, you go down a gear and you slowly let out the clutch and everything rubs together and the RPMs raise up and the car kind of goes as everything matches speed to what it's supposed to be. It feels like that when you're downshifting in this car and like the 10-speed Mustang and other transmissions like it. See, it kind of pushes me around, Whereas in the dual clutch, you downshift and or if you upshift, the balance of the car isn't upset, you know, which is important for road courses. So the general consensus is for straight line speeds and high horsepower applications, you know, roll racing, whatever, this is fine. This is great. Maybe even preferred. But for a road course, whoa. Apparently that shelf is not secure. For a road course, I'd probably take the dual clutch over this. Now, would this perform fine? Probably. But it's the downshifting and the overall balance of the car that I would be concerned with. Now, I will say it could be just a TCU tuning issue. Maybe with aftermarket TCUs like Max ECU or HPR, because HTG isn't a thing anymore. Maybe you can add throttle blips so that the downshifts in these are better, and then really, you're fine. Because I have driven a 9-speed Jatco automatic Nissan Z before, and the downshifts in that were okay, and the upshifts were mostly fine. It was better than I was expecting. Ooh, that's smooth. Put it in the manual. Ooh, those downshifts are crisp. It doesn't buck. But I don't know if I would still choose that over a dual clutch were I able to choose, you know? But the other benefit with having 8, 9, 10 gears is that, especially with like boosted applications, you're in the power for longer. You know, you're shifting and you go back down to the power band and you're shifting and back down to the power band. So that's cool. You know, and if your car can hook up, you just feel like a rocket ship. So I can understand that in that regard, but does that mean that the ZF 8-speed is faster than a dual clutch?
No.
But it's better for certain applications. And now, if you tell that to Mr. 335 High, he'll just go, well, line up and prove it, which is the equivalent to saying, fight me because I'm losing the argument. But we're gonna drive the car. I've already driven it here because this is my garage, not the garage where it started, because I wanted to get it to like operating temps. And I'll show you guys what I mean. This car sounds cool, by the way. So this car is a very cool car. This is a 340i xDrive 2016, and it's basically got everything Dynan except for the wheels. So I'll give you a rundown. Oh, there's the hood release. Gotta love that chime, right? Just makes you think there's something wrong with the car. So 2016 340i xDrive, it's got a few things done to it, all from Dynan before Steve Dynan went on to do Carbon. So this is real Dynan. So most notably, the Dynan super alien looking carbon fiber air intake. You see that? So that's super duper cool. There's like heat coming off the motor right now, and it's actually kind of nice. So that's all you can really see in the engine bay. The other thing it's got is downpipe, mufflers, and the Dynan tune, as well as some suspension stability stuff to make it more stable. And it's also got extra sound deadening, so it's very quiet in the car. So it sounds cool. It's got, I don't know, like whatever, because it's got the first tune they came out with, then they revised it, so the peak horsepower on this is higher than what it was before they updated the tune. It's like 400 something horsepower, 410, 420, 430, who knows? But a decent amount of power. It's quite interesting going into sport mode in this car because it's different from my E46 M3 because the throttle is very soft, but the brakes aren't. But let's pull her out of the garage now that we've talked about it, and we can go for a drive. Switch on sport mode. Normally, I think I would try to have a camera person whenever I'm driving someone else's car, but this car is not super duper rowdy, so it should be fine. Temps are good. There's burbles in the tune, which is kind of neat. It's kind of typical for BMW, but it's not super obnoxious. It's not snap, crackle, pop. It's more like rolling thunder, which I think is acceptable. So as previously mentioned, the car is incredibly easy to drive, just daily drivable because of the 8-speed transmission. Super easy to daily, very easy. I've never tried to daily drive a dual clutch in auto, so I can't speak on that. The other thing that I forgot to mention while in the garage is that upshifts. There's like a lag where the revs kind of hang and then you shift. And some of these things, including my complaint about the RPMs, only seems to occur at kind of lower speeds. If you're really going at it and you're moving and you're downshifting to the right gear, you don't lurch as much, upshifting or downshifting. You know, if you're in the right conditions, it's fine. But I still wish that the downshifts could just do a throttle blip instead of doing the lurch. Hello? This car has a radar detector. Where are you, officer? I was also going to show you guys, there's a guy on this road that's selling a Humvee in full camo and can't find it. It was on this road though. So if I don't know what gear I'm in. See, it kind of lurches. So it does buck a little bit on the upshifts. Even, I keep getting radar pings, even on the high speed, like wide open throttle pulls. There you are, officer, I can see you. Pretty golden retrievers. Well, I'll tell you what, that's a good radar detector. It got him before I could even see him. He was up a couple humps of a hill, not even in my line of sight, and the radar still got him. So that's a good radar detector. I wasn't doing anything particularly crazy, but I'd rather not have a misunderstanding. So let's get up to speed. Speed limit's 30, so we're going 32. Where's the K-band? I don't even see a cop. Anyways, I'm going to try and downshift. Hopefully you guys can hear it just fine. Pretty golden again. Radar detector says we're clear. All right, we're gonna downshift. So like I said, it's not a bad platform. It's not a bad transmission choice, even if you're doing a swap. And it's also very cost effective. DCTs can be expensive, but you really have to be going at it for the balance of the car to not get all upset. So now I'm not going to change the speed. We're going 40, speed limit's 40. And I'm just going to downshift. Yeah, it lurched us. Going to first. Doesn't like it. And then now it's auto upshifting and it lurches us because we're not at wide open throttle. That's just the nature of it. And I think that's just intrinsic to torque converted transmissions. Maybe, where it just kind of bucks you around a little bit, but you sacrifice some of that performance for the daily drivability. Because when you're driving an auto, daily driving, you're not, you know, the automatic mode isn't going to be rev matching and downshifting. It's only going to downshift when it absolutely has to like keep the car from stalling, you know, be ready for if you need to accelerate again. Like, so the mid, like 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 downshifts seem to be fine for the most part. Go down to 2. Now it bucks us. Go down to first. Now it's upshift. No buck, not too bad, but it was kind of weird. Bucked a little bit. And now it's smooth again. And then it should go into auto and it doesn't buck at all. It just bucks a little bit. So that's my main observation and my main distinction between the ZF and the dual clutch. It's not even shift speed. My main thing when comparing the DCT and the ZF 8-speed isn't even shift speed, it is shift behavior. When deciding when to use a dual clutch or the ZF 8-speed, you need to think about your application and how you want both upshifts and downshifts to behave. If you're highway roll racing and you're just wanting to gap fools, the smoothness of your downshifts are not relevant to you. You don't care. All you want is for the shifts to be relatively quick, have a cool amount of gears, and you want to be able to stay in the power, and you want things to have a high torque rating and not shatter when you put a giant turbo on something, presumably. With a dual clutch, you're thinking about consistency, car stability, shift speed, and shift behavior, both upshifts and downshifts. And at that point you go, might get the dual clutch. I mean, that's why you're seeing a lot of people putting ZF 8-speeds into big power Skylines and Supras and BMWs and things like that, because they're not road coursing those cars typically. But if you're looking at, you know, the respectable 500, 600 horsepower, not crazy torque, dual clutch on a road course seems great, or canyons, or wherever you at, or mountain roads around here like me. So that's really the main distinction. And I just wanted to chat about that and see what you guys think, and also ask you guys 2 questions. I want your answers to this first question in the comments, and then I'm going to repeat my previous question. The first question is, do any of you know if using an aftermarket TCU, like something from Max ECU or HPR, is the thing that can make the ZF 8-speed a true road course rival to something like a dual clutch? Like whether it's the one in the BMW M4 or in the Huracan or anything like that, can you make rev matching on downshifts better, and can you kind of tune out the lurching and the weird kind of, I guess, rev hang on upshifts, just so that every shift is just crisp? Can you make it more crisp if you're using aftermarket stuff on the 8-speed? Because then I could understand it, because then it just makes it super economical and it just makes perfect sense. Otherwise, you go with the dual clutch and you just build it out a little bit so that it can handle maybe a little more power if you need it to. And my second question is, because I've been watching IMSA lately, I watched the Lexus win in Long Beach, and then today I watched Laguna Seca, which is my favorite track, and that Huracan in GTD won.
Wayne Taylor Racing, Trent Hinman, Danny Vermael, they know this racetrack so well. They know this car. They won last year at CTMP. They'll win at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
But then the Porsche won in the higher end class. Maybe shouldn't be a surprise. That's preface to my question of, should the M3 GTR with its crazy loud straight cut gears be, push-pull sequential or paddle sequential? Now, if we do paddle sequential, rest assured it'll be magnetic paddles. It'll be very mechanically satisfying. It'll make a cool clicking noise, and the straight cut gears will still be there. But it would be more like a modern IMSA, where I'm shifting with the stuff on the steering wheel. So you guys let me know what you think I should do with the M3, because I have plenty of time to decide. I know which engine I want to use in the M3 GTR and all that good stuff. I'm pretty sure I know which transmission I can use because of torque ratings. And when we set that car up for proper track use, we'll figure all that out. But what do you guys think? Paddles, push, pull. Anyways, thank you all for watching today's video. I'd like to actually have a discussion with you guys about the topic herein in the comments. I like to respond to you guys' comments, so be engaged and talk to me about it. And let me know what you think. But anyways, I'm Tom the Racing Joker. Next time we're going to talk about kind of more my backstory of how I got into cars and all that sort of stuff, and how we got to where we are now. So stay tuned for that. But hey, if you're new here and you're not subscribed yet, be sure to fix that, because you'll like what I got planned. Anyways, seek peace, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.